Good morning. Good morning. First and foremost, go to the website, support, see how you can support. It's always listed in YouTube on the description or in TikTok and other places in this title phrase. Go to the website to see how you can support. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, you can download that petition for the ballot, turn it into your supervisor of elections office, and validate your registration. But what have I been doing? I got with this company called goodparty.org. They're going to help me send out mass text messages for when I come in your area so I can host these town halls to meet your candidate in person. Maybe ask some questions that you want to ask. Get some things out of your system that you may need to get out of your system. But we are out here working. Again, there are people who don't know this, but this is important. Currently, I told y'all already, looking it up, 18 people are running for governor of Florida. I heard an individual say, hey, who do you think is going to win? Somebody said, Miss DeSantis. The issue there is, last time I checked, she is not currently an active candidate running. So right now, it's just a filler phrase. There is so much going on. That's why I want to get out there and I want to continue to meet people. I appreciate all of the Florida colleges for responding to me, giving me the information necessary to come to your campus and be able to campaign with those up and coming voters because it's important. Now let's hit some of these really serious areas because I know everybody who's paying attention, there's a lot going on. Being unethical is not illegal. Yes, we know that there are problems going on, but when it comes to things being legal or illegal, because we hear the term thrown out quite often, what you're going to need to see is reports on things being brought up in the court because that's the way our system works. Yes, we know that right now our executive department is challenging by sometimes flat out just not doing what the courts say do. There are individuals, guys, we're in one of the most interestingly trying times. Imagine this. And I had this conversation with my 17-year-old here. Imagine growing up in that age where all of this was happening, where you are right now. This is where we've seen comments. I've seen comments where people are saying, hey, military people, didn't you guys take an oath to protect this Constitution? You got individuals that are asking people, hey, so you mean to tell me what you voted for was to have an administration that blatantly in areas goes against the rule of law? Is that what you're saying? They use the term fascist. I'm going to make this very simple. Fascist is authoritarian. Fashion is an idea that says that, hey, the majority don't rule. If you do not do what I say, then you are wrong. That's okay in the household, in parenting your children, not when you become a taxpayer that has an investment in what is going on. Then we have, or should have, democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are looking at the budget bill, the language is very troubling. And the alarms are being sounded. And I'm hitting a ton of areas, but this is everything that's going on. And it is being tracked. And as a candidate for governor, you better believe I am paying attention. If you guys go to my Substack, you'll see that the latest thing I put on there was a vote for the who, not the what. Right now, we have a lot of people saying we got to vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat. But y'all got to remember that Republicans are consistent in saying that, hey, Democrats have done us wrong. And Democrats are consistent in saying, hey, Republicans have done us wrong. So therefore, I'm asking you to pay attention to the who you're going to vote for. The who is important. We do not have laws in place to stop unethical things from happening. We cannot stop individuals from lying because we don't have any laws in place for our elected officials to not lie. Something else that is very troubling, because I wrote down notes on just talking about this. So if you're still sticking with me, the experts are ruining the idea of expert opinion. We are seeing PhD, doctors, people who've worked in fields for a very long time refuse to answer yes and no questions. I remember doing a video where I said, do you want your elected official to answer a yes or a no when asked a question that they should be able to ask a yes or a no for? And what I call it is the political pivot. But now we're seeing the expert pivot. We're seeing people not want to take a stance, and it is creating confusion. So I'm asking you, if you are an expert in a field or you are declaring yourself to be an expert, you need to answer yes and no when asked a yes or no question. We cannot continue to elect individuals who will not take a stance. It does not mean that if you come into new information, you cannot change later, but it must be explained. Hey, during this time, you made this stance. So what has changed? And you get the opportunity to answer that. But right now, we have a whole lot of people that do not want to accept the fact that we have a problem. And we do. We have a problem with our experts. We have a problem with people also arguing facts. Listen, if it is a fact, that means that the only way you can dispute that fact is with research and expertise, and you can show that, hey, because this has happened now, this fact has changed. Ladies and gentlemen, as of May, this is what I was pulling up this entire time, because I went out and did my research. As of May 14th, 2025, my research indicates that 135 bills have passed both the chamber of Florida legislature during the 2025 legislative sessions. That's 145 bills that not a citizen was asked for. That's not the number that was submitted, but the number that has been passed since we started in January of 2025, which is important to me because this is something that I always want you guys to know. My references for finding that was the Florida Senate. I go to florida.gov, I look at the Senate, I get the counting, then I go to the bills, and I actually count which bills have been passed. It is so important that you understand that in these 145 bills, I guarantee you something has affected your life. Something has affected you as a taxpayer. And if you are not wanting to be a part of that, then of course I'm not your candidate, because I want you to be a part of the 145 bills that have currently already been passed as of May 14th, 2025. Yes, today is the 15th. This means I sat myself down yesterday and I did the work, because I'm out here studying, I'm out here researching, and I do put the references together so you know where you can get this. It's so important. It's so important. One of the other things that I want to talk for is, again, I want you to pay attention to who you vote for, not the what. Yes, I know that Democrats are saying, hey, if you just vote Democrat and you flip all of these seats, everything's going to be okay. Here is the problem with that statement, and it's at the root core of it. Because we do not have any laws, I know I'm getting loud, but I want to push this together, because we don't have any laws to make you have to tell the truth, even if you are already in the seat. We will find out, and we have seen it, that Democrats will vote against each other. At the last minute, Democrats and Republicans will change their mind. They'll say one thing in public and do another thing in private. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It becomes a consistent problem. And we need to do something about it. So what I'm trying to do is allow citizens the ability to weigh in. Hey, even if you flip on us at the last minute, citizens get to come back and say, we don't want it because we trusted you, and you didn't do what we wanted you to do. So you need to take it back to the table, make it the way we want it, that works for the majority of us, or something that we believe works for the majority of us, and then we'll be ready to pass that bill. It's very important. Now we have contract wording. Guys, there are a lot of things coming out right now. When you go to buy things, when you go to sign things, when you're receiving things, and in the contracts, a lot of the wording is you can no longer take us to court if we make a mistake with something that you've paid for. Come on. They are crippling citizens. They're crippling us, because in order for you to have the convenience of life that our technology, that our economy, that everything is built for. But now we're coming up with this. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something. Again, I did IT for going on 25 years. So it's important for you to understand that Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are super important. When we cannot give you those things, and I cannot ensure you have confidentiality, I cannot ensure the integrity of information, and I cannot ensure the availability to you, then at the core of my expertise, I am wrong. Especially if I'm selling you something that you're paying for, then you should be able to say, hey, what you're giving me, what we contractually agreed upon and I paid you for, you're not meeting that. Right now, they're just saying in the contract, even if I don't meet it, because I know you want it that bad, you can't do anything about it. We cannot continue to let things like that happen. There are too many removals of checks and balances. Too many removals. Regulation had one purpose at its core. It was to make sure that things didn't go bad. That's the whole purpose of a regulator. Hey, I'm going to regulate it to this because if it goes past this threshold one way or the other, it's too much. So regulation at its core is a protective measure. When we start to remove protective measures, have we put in a system that is guaranteed that it will not sway too far one way or too far the other? If no one is telling you that that's happened, then it's not the time to remove regulations. Regulations exist to protect. So, bottom line, learn to vote the who. Learn your candidate. When you see these text messages come out and you see me in your area and I'm hosting that town hall, which you will hopefully get, if I do it correctly, you should get about at least a 48-hour notice. 48-hour notice before that town hall happens in your area. Please go to it so you can meet your candidate. We have to know who we're voting for. You cannot just see a D on the ballot or an R on the ballot and say, I'm just going to vote this way because propaganda and a lot of people have said that if we vote this way, it's going to be the best. You need to know who you're voting for. I'm a candidate for governor of Florida. My name's Rodney Glover, and I approve this message. You guys have a great day.